Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 202 of the podcast. This week, I want you to grab a journal, grab a piece of paper and a pen, because I really want you to actually take some time to listen to this podcast and answer the different questions that I will be asking to explore today's theme and topic. So this week I'm talking about what it's costing you to stay stuck with your health journey, exploring your monthly food and health costs, and boosting your confidence with investing in your health. So grab a pen and a paper or a journal and a pen to listen to this episode, because I have multiple areas where I'm going to want you to write down and explore, what you think you're spending in a month in these different areas, how it's costing you emotionally, physically, and I really want you to be able to get present with, how this may be impacting you and how much it's costing you, so that you perhaps may be inspired to take a different approach, or just to be aware and realize what an impact this is having on you on so many different levels by continuing in a vicious cycle. So this week I want to share an awareness. So, I often share in this podcast and talk about many different things pertaining to mindset, and you hear me talk about the ego. And I just want to share with you that sometimes, even though your ego, your self-sabotaging mindset can take over and make you feel fear, worry, anger, frustration, body criticism, negative self-talk, one of the most powerful things about self-care is using things like breathing, positive affirmations, tapping, journaling, or meditation to actually help you to navigate those emotions, those negative emotions, and to shift you into a more grounded, relaxed, calm, peaceful, happy state. I absolutely love using these mediums to help me if my ego ever takes over, because yes, I have one too, but it's just so powerful to use self-care. So I guess what I would love to hear from you or have you do is to, if you notice your ego taking over, what is a act of self-care that you can do for yourself to help you take your power back and get grounded. So, of course, I'm going to be diving right in. The show notes for today will be at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for group program announcements, giveaway, update announcements, and some other exciting things that are going to be coming to the podcast. Of course, I want to hear from you. So if you have questions, if you have podcast topic suggestions and ideas, I'm so open to hearing them, as of course I want to create this podcast to be as exciting, appealing, and informative as possible for my lovely listeners. So be sure to email me at info@amberapproved.ca to share your questions, suggestions, and podcast topic ideas. If it is a health-related question of your own, I do ask that it's 150 words in length or less, because health histories get complicated, usually need more one-on-one support. And if you're finding a specific eating style is not working for you, you are struggling with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, hormone imbalances, or maybe you're going, I feel like I have hormone imbalances and digestive issues, but I don't know where to start. Your weight continues to be a struggle. So does self-care. Well, these are all the topics I'll continue to talk about, diving into the habits and mindsets to get you on a different path. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. So, without further ado, today's exploration. So if you haven't already, grab that journal and piece of paper and a pen because this is a very exploratory podcast today. So the first thing that I want to really get into is what it's costing you to stay stuck with your health journey. And what I mean by this really is depending on what you're doing, or maybe you're not doing anything and you're feeling, overwhelmed, you're feeling stuck, you're too scared to do anything, you don't feel worthy that you can ever change. Maybe you're thinking, I can't afford to invest in my health. I'm too busy. I can't make it a priority, which essentially I would say, why wouldn't you want to make your health a priority so you can feel better on all levels? But there's all sorts of stories, right? Oh, I just got a new job, so I have to give everything to my job. Oh, I have to make sure I'm giving enough time to my family, to my friends, my coworkers. And yes, it's all about balance, but when we're giving too much to other people or we're creating all these stories or excuses, they really do get in the way of us getting onto an aligned path that is in full support of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. And I want you to be able to get to this point where you can truly be on an empowered path that feels amazing for you, and you're actually seeing results, and you're feeling better, and you're, overcoming emotional eating, and the weight is coming off easily, and your energy is improving, and your digestion is happier, and your hormones are balancing. Like, these are the things I want to see happen for my clients. And so I think it's just so important to explore this furtherly today. I don't know why I'm like, sometimes the words get stuck in my mouth. Anyways, maybe it's because it's really cold here today. So no one has to see your answers. You just do this for yourself in the comfort of your own home or wherever you want to be that feels good for you to answer these questions. So the first question, and so maybe you can write down the question or you can just simplify it. But the question is, what is it really costing you to stay where you are with your health, weight, body insecurities, or relationship with food and dieting? So if you could just put a ballpark number before we dissect all these different areas, what is it really costing you financially, physically, mentally, emotionally to stay where you are with your current state of health, all the symptoms you're dealing with, weight and body insecurities, binge eating, emotional eating, restriction, dieting, negative self-talk? What is it costing you to stay where you are? I know for me, it cost me $50,000 worth of binge food and quick fixes. It cost me 5 years of, balancing and healing my digestion and hormones. And it cost me, I pretty much dieted and I know that number that lost and gained over 1,000 pounds in 5 years, it actually would be a lot more if I counted that I actually started to diet at about age 10 until I was about 24, 25, give or take a few months. So that was probably over that longer span, more like 5,000 pounds. So just that alone had a huge hit to my health and well-being and my confidence. So as an example for me, that's where I was, and it may be more for you, maybe less. It doesn't matter where it is, but it's just to become present to what you think it is. So the first specific that I want to look at is, what does it really cost financially to have multiple wardrobes and multiple clothing sizes in your closet? How much money are you spending on clothes every month, every few months, every 6 months, every year, or when the season changes and you're going, oh my gosh, this half of my closet doesn't fit. I need to go and get smaller or bigger clothes because I'm yo-yoing and I'm down or I'm up X amount of pounds, right? So it's does it cost you $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000? I know for me, I had probably about 6 to 8 different sizes of clothes in my closet when I was on this yo-yo up and down. And, then I get to this point where I had convinced myself, well, I'm going to get rid of all my bigger clothes because I'm never going to binge again. And then I'd have all only small clothes in hopes that it would motivate me to never binge again. And then I'd binge and gain weight, and then I'd have no clothes that fit. And then I had to go out and buy a bunch of clothes to fit me. And it got very expensive because I was up and down a different clothing size or 2 or 3 every other month. And I know I've talked to other women who this has definitely been, something that they've realized as well. So, what does it cost you on clothes every month or every X amount of months if your weight's going up and down? Next, supplements. What is it costing you on supplements every month that are not addressing the issue, the root causes? So usually what ends up happening is, say you're overbooked, you're highly stressed, you're emotionally eating, you're binging, you're in that diet mentality, you're, more focused on weight, vanity, external image, we can just really end up with really expensive pee. And I know sometimes you may need extra support with supplements. I mean, I've taken supplements and I do recommend a couple of things to my clients. And if things are way off, sometimes that extra support is needed. But if you're just adding supplements in hopes of them counteracting the binging or stress or low energy, or for whatever reasons you're taking them or you've been recommended to take them, without adjusting your habits or your schedule, or you're, dealing with your stress levels in a healthy way, or overcoming things like the emotional eating, the body's going to have trouble utilizing those nutrients and absorbing them properly and having them actually help to reduce your symptoms. I've had, some of my clients come to me on numerous supplements. I remember having this one client and their other healthcare practitioner kept piling on the adrenal support. So their adrenal glands were way out of whack. They're dealing with really high stress, body image issues, working really long hours, had lots of gut health stuff going on, and they were emotionally eating all the time. And so this other person was just like piling on. They were probably on like 7 or 8 different adrenal supports to support high cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And when I looked at that, I was just thinking to myself, okay, so this is probably about $500 a month worth of, adrenal support that this person is taking, but it's not helping them overcome emotional eating. It's not helping them balance their schedule. It's not helping them build their self-worth. And it's not actually helping them to gain energy, because the reason they're working so much is because they're a perfectionist and overachiever. And they feel like in order to be worthy, they need to essentially exhaust themselves in their business, but then it's really impacting, their health, their relationship with their body and with food. So I share this example with you because the adrenal supports continuing to be piled on was really just a band-aid. It was not helping this person shift their mindset, their habits, the relationship with food, their schedule, and other things that were going on. So luckily they were open to working on these other things. And of course, as they did that, they were able to come off all of the adrenal support and decided to just, stick with a B vitamin because it supported their energy and stress. But again, like that's the power. So whilst they were spending that $500 a month, and what they told me was that it was for a few years, like, if that's $500 a month, it's over $6,000 a year. Like that would easily give you the opportunity to invest in, taking a different approach with your health and overcoming all these other things and being able to come off this stuff. So that was very exciting to see that kind of thing happen. I wanted to share a specific example though. And it could be different for you. Maybe you're taking a bunch of different digestive supports, or maybe it is something for hormones, and things aren't changing. But again, supplements can be helpful when your body is in a certain place to receive them properly. But if you're not addressing the root causes, as I've just mentioned, chances are you are just going to end up with really expensive pee. So we have to work on, supporting your symptoms and understanding why you have them. So, what is it costing you on supplements every month? Write that number down. And then what we can do at the end is we can tally up, in the year what you think it's costing you. So the next cost. Again, what do you think it's costing you that you're spending on junk food every month? So if you're emotionally eating, if you're binging, it could be, you could say, well, I don't really go out and buy food. I just eat what's at home. Okay, well, so is your grocery bill extra because you're eating boxes of cereal or you're finishing a whole box of granola bars, or you're eating the ice cream or that bag of chips, or you're eating the half a loaf of bread, and then you're having to go to the grocery store more often to replenish the food that is, being eaten when you're stress eating, emotionally eating? Or are you going to the store every time, you want to emotionally eat and spending money? Are you hitting up the vending machine, the drive-through, the local bake shop, coffee shop? And you're doing it because you're seeking comfort. You're seeking to distract yourself. You deserve a reward. I had a bad day, so now I'm going to go and treat myself, right? Like this is all emotional. And then we get into these habits where we start doing it regularly. And then even on days where you don't want to do it, it feels difficult to stop because you've literally created this habit, wired this part of your brain that's going, oh, it's time to go and buy junk food. Again, for me, like when I would binge, I would go and I would spend between $50 and $100 every time that I binged. And, that was happening multiple nights a week. That added up really fast. So what is it costing you on junk food every month? Again, stopping, picking stuff up at the store, vending machines, cafes. It adds up quickly. Another one here. So what is it costing you to eat out every month? So I find for, sometimes it's a convenience factor. Oh, I just don't feel like cooking tonight. A lot of it comes from lack of preparation. So I find when I start working with a lot of my clients, they're not in a consistent rhythm with food prep. And so what ends up happening is they buy all these groceries with all this, really great intent to cook and do some really healthy meals and food options. But the problem is they're not actually dedicating a chunk of time, just like 1 or 2 days a week to prepare that food. So they go grocery shopping, fill their fridge, don't dedicate any time, and then they're making their meals on the go. And often what that turns into is, I don't feel like cooking dinner tonight, so I'm just going to skip the dishes, or let's just grab something, I don't feel like making my lunch for tomorrow, so I'm just going to go to the restaurant or the cafe, or buy lunch tomorrow. And that can just quickly turn into, I'm going to just grab something. I'm just going to grab something. And then you end up eating out a lot in the month. And again, the cost of eating out all the time, because it just feels more convenient, can add up very fast. So what are you spending every month on eating out? Skip the dishes, ordering in, picking up food, eating out at restaurants. And this is another one. So all the trips through the drive-through, all those trips that you say, I'm not going to go through the drive-thru on the way home. I'm not going to go through the drive-thru for lunch or in the morning, right? So essentially what the trigger is here is for you, fast food is a trigger, an emotional eating trigger. And you say to yourself, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. And then what ends up happening is, even if you brought your lunch or you already had something, you're finding yourself fighting this voice, the ego, which is going, oh, but do it anyway. Oh, it'd be so good. Oh, you deserve it. Oh, reward. Oh, you had a bad day. Oh, let's celebrate. Oh, I have this craving. And so then therefore you end up finding yourself going through the drive-thru and getting fast food, or getting dessert, or again, getting a coffee or a drink. And then you're in regret and guilt that you spent the money on it and now you're eating it and you don't feel well. And so that can be a general trigger. And it's also, again, like if you're going through the drive-thru or the cafeteria, the restaurant, because you didn't bring your lunch with you, it adds up very quickly. Like I think so many people don't prepare their lunch. And, if that's something that you're really wanting to do, but you're missing out on it, and then you're upset with your finances, or you're like, oh my God, I spent way too much money on eating out. It's like you could save so much by preparing really great food and bringing it with you, and then deciding, like, is there a certain X amount of times you're going to allow yourself to, take a break from cooking and order out. And then this one ties into the two I've just mentioned. So the eating out every month and the trips through wherever is, how much does it cost you for your groceries, and how many of those groceries are you throwing out every week at home because you end up doing more eating out or ordering in because it's more convenient? I don't feel like cooking what I have in the fridge. Oh, there's no comfort food in the fridge. I want pizza. I want burgers, or I want like milkshakes, or whatever it is. It's just like, think about how much food you throw out because you're emotionally eating or it just feels too inconvenient to cook. That can add up really, really, really fast. So definitely take some time to consider what that would be for you. So shifting gears just a little bit with this next question, what opportunities are you forgoing in your work or avoiding in your business, your career, whatever area of life it is, because you don't feel confident, because you feel like you need to lose X amount of weight first, because you need to be a different clothing size, because you don't want people to judge you, you don't want people to see you at the size you are? What is the dollar value of those work, career, business opportunities that you are that you're really avoiding because you are feeling insecure with your body? Because maybe you emotionally ate and you're like, no, I have to cancel that now because I feel too bloated and too yucky, right? So I'm just going to not go. This happens all the time. And it could be a dollar value in the hundreds, the thousands, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. Like it could be big, really big. And another avenue of this is maybe you haven't asked for a raise. Maybe you haven't secured a client you wanted because you are feeling you need to look a certain way first. You need to feel better. You're too tired. You're too exhausted. Again, there's those insecurities happening. So it's like, what are the dollar values of those missed opportunities with your career or your business? And maybe this next one is a little bit more on the emotional end, but this is like life journey. Like this is a huge one. It's like, what personal life opportunities are you avoiding or missing out on because you need to look a certain way first? You need to lose a certain amount of weight, be a certain clothing size first. Dating, being open to a loving relationship, having a family, being intimate with your partner, going on a vacation where it's a beach vacation and you have to wear a bathing suit, going to social situations where, again, you're going to be in a bathing suit, or just social settings in general, right? How much are you isolating at home, denying yourself of these opportunities because you have a limiting belief around who you need to be and what you need to look like before you can go and do that? I definitely used to have that. And it cost me a lot to isolate that much and miss out on, birthday parties and social outings and, even, different dating opportunities that I missed out on. And everything happens for a reason, because I'm like so happy that I ended up with the wonderful person I'm with. But it's just like, even the first time we dated, I so remember this. I remember being like, oh my goodness, like I've gained 10 pounds. I'm like worried he's going to notice and then like not want to be with me. And so I remember calling him up on the phone one day and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've gained a bit of weight. Like I'm so worried that if like you see me, you're going to just like not want to be with me. And he's like, oh my goodness. He's like, I'm not worried about that. Like I care for you. And he obviously, up until this day, like when we started dating again, weight never crossed my mind because that's not my focus anymore. But it's just so fascinating how caught up we can get in 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds and think that that's just going to like end the world. So what is it denying you with your personal relationships, love, dating, family, things like that? I think that's a huge one for a lot of women that I've spoke to. So this next one goes back to more of, rating a dollar value, but what are you spending on other modalities? And let me first say, I really believe in other modalities. I think they're very helpful. Obviously I have, different support systems, and I, recommend other support systems to my clients if I feel it's resonant. And sometimes they're already working with other people. So I'm not saying these aren't helpful, but I'm asking, what are you spending, on in other modalities like massage, naturopathy, conventional medicine, a personal trainer, food programs, testing of different kinds. Again, I think there's high value in these for the right person at the right time. Once we address certain things, that are then stabilized, like binge eating, dealing with the overbooked schedule, because these things will contribute to your digestive and your hormone imbalances, your cravings, your low energy. But again, a lot of these things may not give you the transformation you seek, because a supplement or a blood test is not going to help you build a healthy relationship with food or your body, right? Building that self-worth, or, helping you to overcome emotional eating. So I just really encourage you to look at your current support and ask yourself if it feels like what you're doing is working for you, or if it's time for something new, or if you could use both. I've had different people who, are doing counseling and therapy and seeing different people to work on their emotional health, and they've gone for a really long time and they're still not over emotional eating, or they still don't, feel like they have the tools and the support to get where they want to go. And some people get that support and it, they fully gain freedom. So it really depends on if you feel like you're getting the level of support that you need. And if you don't feel like you are, then I think there's always a great opportunity to reevaluate. Heck, I've, had different healthcare practitioners that I've seen, and some I am faithful and I've continued to use them for years. And others I'm like, had a couple experiences and going, nope, this doesn't feel right for me. I don't think this person can help me with what I need. So then I don't go back, right? I don't keep dragging it on going, well, maybe one day I'll get results. So I think it's important that you really choose to surround yourself with people who can support you with your journey. Again, I love all of these modalities. I use some of them. I just think that, as an example, if you are struggling with emotional eating, I'll share my own personal experience. So the first year that I was struggling really badly with emotional eating, I had just I had reached my quote unquote low goal weight at the time. And then I started gaining weight when I really lost control and was binge eating. And I thought, well, if I hire a personal trainer, they'll essentially scare me or motivate me into, just losing the weight, and they'll give me a really hard workout, and that'll just like motivate me to not binge. So I spent money I didn't have. I put it on a credit card. And I was like, okay, well, this has to be the thing. But obviously I didn't tell them what was going on. I don't know if they would have understood anyway. It's nothing to do with the trainer, but I invested in something and spent money on something that was not going to help me overcome my binge eating, my body image struggles, and all these other things that were going on. So there went $3,000 down the tube very quickly. And I went to maybe 3 or 4 sessions, and I was binging and gaining weight. And the trainer said, like, you've gained weight. Like, so they know, and it was a guy. And I just felt very judged. And I was like, F this, I'm not coming to my sessions anymore. And so I again only maybe went 3 or 4 times, and from there gained even more weight. So it wasn't the right time for me to engage in support like that, because I was addressing it for all the wrong reasons. Like, if you're seeking someone for your hormone health or your digestion, great. But again, like, if you're just being put on tons and tons and tons of supplements and you're not feeling any better, and you feel like you should be seeing some different results, then again, there may be opportunity to look at a different support. So the next area here, so make sure you tally up what you think you're spending a month on these different things. What have you spent on diet programs, surgeries? So this could be like getting your stomach stapled or reduced to reduce your appetite. Essentially, different kinds of surgeries that are supposed to help with quote unquote weight loss and appetites, diet or appetite suppressants, like prescriptions. What have you spent on different eating styles, special ingredients for recipes, slimming herbs and teas, cookbooks, online programs, self-help books, self-help programs, etc. Right? So I definitely know for me, I spent a lot of money on some of this stuff, just like the eating styles, the diets, cookbooks. I think I even, when I was feeling really desperate, tried some of the teas, but obviously I just threw them out because they tasted horrible. But yeah, I did. I spent some decent money that I didn't have on stuff like this, and obviously none of it worked. Again, I think it's important to first understand your current state of health and what your biggest struggles are, so that we can start to address those. Because again, when you've spent thousands of dollars on these items with little to no progress, or you're spending the money on the supplements and they aren't helping, it is to really just look at, like, where could you be investing this money to actually get the help you need to overcome this, right? It's actually very interesting because, and again, like, if it works for you, great. Like, I'm in full support of that. At the end of the day, I want you to just reach optimal health and have a healthy relationship with food and build self-love. I've had so many conversations with women who've had the different surgeries to help them with their weight and their appetites. And every single one that's come to me, the surgery did not work because it did not help them change their mindset, their habits, or their relationship with food. So while some people may think that a surgery will resolve everything, and if it has for you, great. But for a lot of people, again, it is truly, I believe, just another quick fix. That's just my opinion, so take it lightly. So next, and this is a big one. I've had clients who, when we first started working together, they said they get hospitalized for weeks at a time when they get a bad cold or flu. So how much money does it cost you when you keep catching colds and flus and keep having to take time off of work, your business, because your stress is high, you're constantly having to take prescription drugs or medicine, or again, you have to be hospitalized. Again, likely you are probably overbooked. You're not taking care of yourself. You may not be a priority. Your health and well-being is suffering, and your schedule runs you instead of you running your schedule. Again, with a lot of the people that I start with, they're getting sick so often, or it takes them a while to get over a cold or flu. And then as they make themselves a priority, balance their schedule, overcome emotional eating, we work on strengthening the immune system, the digestion, and the hormones. they really are then rarely getting sick. They're like, wow, I was around a bunch of people who were coughing today and I didn't catch that cold. Or wow, my child was sick and this is the first time I didn't catch whatever they had. That's super, super powerful to see people be able to change their immune system that much. It's life-changing. It really is. So I'd encourage you to put a dollar value on how much it costs you for childcare, how much it costs you to be missing those days or weeks of work, how much it costs you on the prescription drugs or being hospitalized or the medicine that you have to take if you find a cold or a flu is really taking you down. Because again, you have to pay for all those things. So that's a big one, especially now that we're getting into fall and cold and flu season. And I do plan to do a podcast coming up as a side note on immune health. So I'm going to be really excited to share that with you. And once I kind of figure out the exact week, I will share with you more information on when to expect that. So as I kind of already mentioned, some of my clients see like therapists and psychologists and counselors. And I know that that can be very valuable for some people. And I do have some that have found that that has worked, and that's great. I think if you find someone that you really feel like there's a good synergy, like stick with them. And I also find that there are some people who come to me and they find that the work they do with me is more valuable than that other service. So again, I think it's just important for you to feel out what feels best for you. I just find some people come to me, and because we're working on both the emotional and the physical, like I'm helping them identify their emotional eating triggers, their body image, what triggers themselves to become critical of their body image, undoing the old weight kind of diet obsession focus, making themselves a priority, and we're balancing the digestion. We're working on the hormones, we're working on metabolism and the lymphatic system, the immune system, inflammation, all those different pieces. And I find that helps to just build confidence and awareness. And the more you learn how to listen to your body and your emotions, the more you yourself can figure out what you need to give yourself in those moments when you are, needing support. So I love to empower my clients and get them to that point, because then you have these tools and awarenesses and recommendations for life. And often you can navigate any scenario then. So what I want you to do here with if food you're spending on binge eating or emotional eating, I want you to make a line for that. So, like I said, I spent $50,000 in 5 years. Maybe yours isn't that high, but if you could put a rough estimate of what you spend on for emotional eating or binging in a week, and then times it by 4 for the month. So, or time, like if you're doing it multiple times a week and you know that, then however many times a week, times by 4 weeks, and then multiply that again by 12 to get the year total, to see how much you're emotionally eating and binging on. And that could be the innocent purchase at Starbucks where you're like, oh, I'm just going to get a pumpkin spice latte and a piece of banana loaf. And then you do it again the next day because you need comfort, right? Like it could be that innocent $5 purchase or that $3 chocolate bar, but you're buying it multiple days a week. That adds up fast. Like if we just use the chocolate bar example, say the chocolate bar is $2.50 and you're doing that 4 days a week, that's $10. If you're doing that a month, it's $40. If you're doing that over the year, that's like 410 months. Yeah. So that adds up quite quickly, right? $480 in a year. Maybe even more. And that's only if it's one chocolate bar a few days a week, let alone most people are usually doing more, right? So it's fascinating when we look at the long term, how it can add up. So now let's shift to some more emotional costs, but these, again, they still impact finances, because if you're feeling like your relationship is struggling, or your job or your career or your business, or you feel like you're passing habits onto your kids, like this all adds up to more expenses to put out for them as well. So how often do you find yourself beating yourself up, or in negative self-talk, or saying negative things to yourself, comparing yourself to others, giving your power away to others because you think it's your fault because of your low self-worth, your weight, your insecurities, or because you have a problem with binge eating? I can't express more that if you struggle with emotional eating or binge eating or body image, you're not weak. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need more willpower. It's just that there's some things here that it's a great opportunity for you to work on these things and gain freedom from them. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make more things your fault at all. But because, low worth and insecurity is experienced, people can get really hard on themselves, even when whatever scenario was going on had nothing to do with you. So what does it cost you to be beating yourself up in a negative self-talk all the time? Again, and pertaining to your work, your career, your family life, your relationships, How does that impact all of those? Have you gone through a divorce because you were projecting and being so hard on your husband and snapping at him all the time for your own insecurities, your unhealthy relationship with food, your weight struggles? Has that been something that's happened, right? Or maybe you expected that he was going to fill the void for you and that his love was going to fix you and it didn't, right? Divorce, I hear, is expensive. So it could have even been something like that. It's so important to work on ourselves and learn how to love ourselves so that we're not expecting to get it all from someone else and overtake from someone else. Here's one. So what you could do with this one is you could do this one and like put like minutes or hours, because I think that, again, this just seeing the numbers, it adds up so fast. So how much time in a day, so minutes or hours, do you think you spend thinking about food or your weight, obsessing about food or your weight, worrying about food or your weight, tracking your food or your weight, hating or loving your body or food, right? Or your weight? How many minutes or hours are consuming your mind, your mental focus, right? Are you not getting projects done on time? Are you not taking on that new client, right? What is getting impacted? Because this focus impacts your stress levels, your thoughts, and of course your actions. So I know for me, this really had an impact and it was huge. Like I remember being at social outings and like different courses that I had bought into, and I'd be like halfway through the evening and I'd be like, oh my God, I just want chocolate. I just want chocolate. And so I'd like make up some excuse and like leave for this course that I had paid for to speed to the store and get my fix. And again, it might not be like that for everybody, but it consumed my mind for a lot of years and it was very costly. So how much time, minutes, or hours do you think you spend in a day thinking about food, weight, body, diet, trying to be perfect with food, denying, going, I can't have that, I shouldn't have that chocolate, I promised myself I wouldn't have that today? Because that's all consuming of your like mental space that you could be focusing on being happy and enjoying your day, and again, focusing on things that are much more supportive of your greatest good, essentially. And really, you know, then what this ties into is it really costs a lot when it comes to your confidence. There's lost joy, there's missed opportunities, both personal and professional, financial. And if you add up all of these pieces, this number is probably easily in the multiple thousands, if not tens of thousands or more. So now I just want you to take a few minutes, pause the podcast if you need to, and add up all these different pieces to see what it's really worth for you to stay where you are doing what you're doing without changing anything. What's your number? What are your numbers? Actually, if you want, feel free to email me about this. Share with me what, you know, came up for you in these different areas. It's all confidential. We can have, you know, just, you can share with me and then we can have a bit of a conversation. I would love to know for you what it's costing you in hopes to hopefully help you, you know, shift this. But most people in general just are not paying attention or are not aware of what they're spending in any of these areas and or what it's costing them emotionally as well. And I want to shine a light on this for you in hopes that you are going to be able to get to this place so you can connect with the true costs of how this is impacting you physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, and what help could look like so that this doesn't have to be your norm anymore. And if you actually want to walk through this exercise together to truly identify the costs of this stuff, I would encourage you to book the 30-minute Body Freedom consultation. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can click right to the calendar, because it's like, what is it really costing you in these different areas that I've mentioned? Are there any areas I didn't mention that you already know? Yeah, there's a cost there too. Again, you can go to amberapproved.ca and click schedule a consultation very easily. I will add a link into the show notes. And I work with, you know, professional women, and even if you've had a baby and or you're a stay-at-home mom, but you're struggling with these things and you are ready to invest in yourself and you have the financial means to do so, then if this is resonating, don't hesitate to reach out. This is something that will change your life dramatically. I don't like the word dramatically. It'll transform your life in so many positive ways. It will help you achieve optimal health, and you will no longer want to live with low energy, digestive upset, debilitating cravings, emotional eating, weight gain, or poor body image. That's just not part of your identity at all anymore. So if this does feel true for you, I look forward to connecting and supporting you. And so I'm really curious to hear what you guys have come up with these different areas. So again, you can email me at info@amberapproved.ca and share your ratings with me if you feel comfortable. Again, it's confidential. I will look at it. We can talk about it, and then I will delete it. So if you are open, don't hesitate to reach out about that. And if you are wanting to connect, then I definitely encourage you to book the Body Freedom consultation. So I hope that you guys have learned something or have a new awareness. So the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/202. A friendly reminder to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating podcast on all podcast apps. You can click the link in the show notes, and you can also listen to all episodes at amberapproved.ca/podcast-archive. That's ARCHIVE. So definitely make sure you check out the new website, the emotional eating quiz as well. There's going to be some really cool new things that I'm adding to the website, videos, different pieces for my newsletter, etc. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. And make sure that you enter the giveaway celebrating episode 200. So I'm doing an international giveaway, and it's super easy to enter. You can either leave me a 5-star rating and a review on any of the podcast apps, share what you're learning about the podcast, how the podcast is helping you with your health journey or your relationship with food, or what you love about it. Then you can email me at nosugarcoatingpodcast@gmail.com to share the name and country you left the review under, just so I know that it's there. If you've already left a review, you can share about the podcast on your social media, including Instagram stories, and tag me at my name, Amber Romaniuk. That's AMBERROMANIUK. Again, sharing what you have learned or love about the podcast. The winner will be announced during episode 205, so be sure to enter. And what are you winning? Well, you're going to be winning my favorite Rocky Mountain Soap Company natural skincare products, Herbal and Vitamin Gummies, my cookbook with 65 recipes, and a little surprise that you're just going to have to wait and see if you're the winner. So as just a quick reminder, if you're wondering how to leave a review, you can do so on your phone or computer by going to podcasts and searching for the No Sugarcoating podcast. Even if you're subscribed already, you'll need to find the show in this way. Once you're on my main page, you can click on reviews, write a review in purple, give me 5 stars, write a little something, or go to amberapproved.ca/review, and it will take you to the page. You can follow the steps that I've just shared. Thank you again for listening. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you to all of you. I'm so grateful for all of you that listen, who reach out, who end up becoming clients. It's absolutely just such a gift to be here to share my voice and to serve you. So as I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health. So make sure you take action now. Have a beautiful day and a great week. And I will look forward to sharing a whole new podcast with you next Sunday. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.